Now it's time, finally, for the last step to put our Hasenpfeffer in the jar. And to first do it, we use a funnel to help keep the meat off the edge because that causes problems. And what we're going to do is, our goal is to put, for a 12-ounce jar of Hasenpfeffer, to put 6 ounces in the jar. So we're going with a flank steak. I'm trying to keep the pieces as big as possible. Okay, we're going to change up. We're going with 5 ounces. We're going to start off with 6 jars, mainly because I don't know how many, I don't have a lot of food. I have about 2 pounds of rabbit. With pressure canning, we're not really, you want the jars clean, but it's not necessary to sterilize them. we get one more jar. And the rest of the rabbit's going to go and pretty much fit in there. So we're going to have 7 total. And we can add a little to the ones we went conservative with. And that's it for that part of the process. The next part is going to be, we're going to fill it with liquid and add our salt. Now we have our liquid that's going to make up the sauce. And there's so little fat, I'm not worried about it. Now, I'm hoping I got enough for the for all the jars. Part of it is what we're doing now is making sure there's no air voids. Whoops. We're also, for the added salt, we're also using Ancient Kosher Sea Salt. It's by the Real Salt Company. And we are going to go with a third of a teaspoon. First, we're going to mix this as best we can. And I have a sampling. And I think we're going to go with a half a teaspoon. For something like this, we go with we're going to have plenty of stock, and I'm going to have some left over for tomorrow. As you can see, this is going quite fast. I want to get the salt in first. And we're done. We got plenty of stock left over. I'm probably going to put some vegetables in it, make a vegetable stock. Our next step is to degrease, and also we want to degrease and remove any food particles from the rims. And we put our lids on. The lids have a sticky, sort of a rubbery type compound that will seal with the canning. So you can hear that, and that's basically an indication whether it's food safe or not. After it's been canned, that should pull down and form a vacuum. Now this is a drill We're going to try to use our 10.5 quart canner. That's the little guy. I call it the baby. And we have no problems fitting them in. So now I'm going to begin to set up for the canning. Now we put a bottom on it, and then I'm going to put another panel that basically fits it, and the panel's going to be raised. So we fill the bottom with water, and that way the cans aren't sitting in the water. They can sit in the water, but you don't want to have it so overfilled that the water is up around the lids, and that could jeopardize the sealing of them too. So we're going to put a little panel here. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate now. I always put one of these on the bottom. And then we're going to load them into the canner. Now I fill the canner with water in the basement, and I put these in a tray. It could have had a V8. We put the lid on, and then we start it boiling, purge the steam, then put the weight on it to build up the pressure. Okay, this is the pressure canner. Okay, we about reached temperature, and our jiggler, the fat lady, is starting to sing. So what we do is we start our timer. You don't need to keep constant watch over it, so what we'll do is between the gauge and how the jiggler sounds, we'll adjust the flame slightly and accordingly. We want to get it to run constant. So I check on it about every 15 minutes for the hour and 15 minutes that it runs. This is a gasketless pressure canner. So there might be a little bit of bubbling around the edges, but the temperature will keep constant. Okay, we're nearing the time to take the pressure canner off the heat. And this time the fat lady really likes to sing. We haven't had a lot of air leaks around the rim like we normally do. But I generally do my best to keep it set at 10. And I go as a guide Generally, if it's set too low, it'll go -2. If it's set too high, it'll go +2. So about a third of the way in, I tend to I tend to get it adjusted right to where it's not going too high or too low. And now what we do is turn the heat off. It'll continue to boil, and generally it'll be between generally it'll take between 20 and 40 minutes for the pressure to naturally release. We don't want it to we don't want to pull the weight too soon. And I decided I'll wrestle this whole pressure canner thing downstairs to the studio, and I'll open it up for you there to see how it goes. Even at 0, you will see a pop of steam when I open it up. It's been about 20 minutes, and there's still, even though it says about 0, there's still going to be some steam release. I should have gloves on. You can see the steam coming from my fingers. You don't want to go any closer than that. Ooh. We're almost ready to undo this thing. It's a little bit like dismantling a bomb. Woo! I had the cans fairly equally spaced, and you can see how everything's still boiling. Big deal is to keep it insulated. I don't know what you're going to see of this. Okay, we're gonna need help. And the funny thing is almost all the water's intact. It's now about 1:30 in the morning. I am dead tired, considering I was up early this morning. And what we're going to do is we're going to tuck the jars and myself in bed. One of the amazing sounds is when you hear them seal. And normally when I bring them down from upstairs, you'll hear them seal on the way down, but since we're insulating them, it's going to take some time. And that's it for tonight, and then tomorrow, everything should be canned. It's the next day, and welcome to the reveal. Now, this is the most anxiety-producing thing, and we're going to see how they all sealed. One didn't seal. Two didn't seal. The rest are sealed and in good condition. Now, it doesn't exactly look good. What we're doing with the two that didn't seal is we're going to throw them away. And we're going to clean and reuse the jars for future. It's very upsetting, but we got 5 nice ones. And when people see the jarred meats, they look at it and it's like they get... I'm like, have you ever opened up canned meat and looked at them? Now this is going to look a lot better once we put our roux in, which is when you reheat it. Also, rabbit is a very fat-free and tender meat, so you're going to see more fibers fraying, kind of like in a rope. So it's going to look a lot better once it's reheated with the roux in and with the sauce thickened. And how I'm going to prepare it is I'm going to cook the flour in the butter, and then put it in a snack baggie, freeze it, and then make the chips to thicken each individual jar. The chips will be frozen. So then you basically open it, dump the contents, start to reheat it. And when it starts getting hot enough, I don't recommend boiling it, but bringing it up to a simmer, then you add in the roux chip, stir it, and that'll make the final thickened sauce. And then when I do the taste test for this, I'm going to also make grated raw potato dumplings, and we're going to also cook that in the sauce. That'll also help thicken it a little bit. Now the dumplings are going to be prepared, cooked, and then wrapped individually and frozen. And I like the taste and the consistency of the raw potato dumplings instead of I've never cared for the dumplings that are made with already mashed potatoes. Although I believe the Bowman's restaurant has a good one to where it's grated raw potato in the center, and then they put the mashed potato variety on the outside and then cook it. It adds a certain creaminess, and I might adapt that to my likings and needs. So we have our rabbit, and then we're going to have our dumplings and maybe make some spatzel and green beans on the side. And these are good to go. They'll get Mike's label on it, and then it has a date. And canned goods are supposed to be good for about a year afterwards. Now, if in the course of the year the lids turn like these and are breached, then they too are discarded. It might not look exactly appetizing, but I'll let you know how they taste. So it's Christmas Eve. It's the day before Christmas. And I'll show, I'll have the meal prepared so you can see what the final result, and I'll be honest about the taste. And my canned stuff so far has been much better than MRE material. So take care, God bless, and I'll wish you a Merry Christmas.